Ah yes! Finally! My creation is almost complete. It's the ultimate game reviewer. But it needs one extra ingredient. And what could that be? Ah yes! Perfect! Let me add this to my concoction.
Can I play the Sweet Games game now?
No, you can play Voodoo Vince, cause that works better with this context of me creating you!
Oh. Okay. During the early 2000s, we ended up getting a lot of platformers. Sadly, this will be the last generation we ended up getting a lot of platformers, but hey, at least it went out with a bang. Sony had Jak and Daxter, Ratchet & Clank, and more Apis Ape games. Nintendo had Mario Sunshine and Chibi Robo. Also, did I forget to mention Microsoft?
Who's that?
They had so many classics like Blinks and Voodoo Vince, I guess. Voodoo Vince is that odd child in the daycare because everyone seems to forget him despite how amazing he really is. Recently, he did get a bit of recognition though due to the remaster that came on the Xbox One and PC, but then he quickly got swept under the rug again, which is kind of sad considering how much of a gem this game really is, and here's why. The plot of the game is as follows. Cosmo and his goons break into Madame Charmaine's shop to steal some zombie dust, and they end up creating a huge mess. Charmaine ends up getting knocked out, which causes her to be kidnapped by their goons, but due to the zombie dust ending up everywhere, her voodoo doll Vince ends up coming to life, and now your goal is to save Madame Charmaine, and to gather as much zombie dust as you can. After the opening, you get thrown into the game. The controls are what you would expect from an early 2000s platformer. You have a jump, a double jump, a standard punch, a crash-like spin attack that can be used to get more distance when jumping. If you pull the trigger while in the air, you'll also be able to glide for a bit, which can help you land better. Later on in the game, you'll also get a few extra moves, like an awful grappling move and a perspective that lets you see all the collectibles. Collecting 100 voodoo dust gives you an extra hit point, and collecting all the pink pages, then chasing the skull in an area, gives you an extra slot in your special meter. Here's the cool part. Once you fill the special meter, you get an attack that basically kills Vince in a way, and it causes all the enemies around to be damaged since he's a voodoo doll. Collecting these skull things give you an extra death animation to use with your special attack. It doesn't make a difference, but it's still cool to see. Moving Vince around is great, other than a few instances of the controls not wanting to comply, but that doesn't happen super often, so I don't really care. Now, what is Voodoo Vince, you may be asking yourself?
Discount Deadpool.
This thing tends to break the fourth wall in a lot of cutscenes, and it's pretty hit or miss. Now, when it works, it really works. Like when you finish this segment where you ride a rat, Vince actually sounds excited, but then corrects himself and says it sarcastically. The writing and dialogue sound good enough, but it could be improved in a few ways if I'm being honest. Cosmo is a pretty great villain. He's portrayed as someone who is really bad at what he's doing with all his plans constantly failing to stop Vince. It even says in the manual, which I sadly don't own since I'm playing the remaster, that my guy failed 7th grade. His two goons aren't really much to talk about since they only came up from time to time and aren't really that funny. Finally, Madame Charmaine, aka the one you have to save, is your guide throughout the experience, telling you what to do and where to go. Those are all the main characters, but later I'll bring up a few others. From playing jazz with a skeleton to straight up animal abuse, this game has it all. The structure of this game is fairly simple. You usually just have something blocking your path and you have to figure out how to open that door or move that object, or you have to collect things for people. And after you do that, you usually get thrown to a boss fight that Cosmo starts. These boss fights have you frantically in search for what to hurt yourself with so you can damage the boss. After doing that 3 times, the boss is usually done. It's the same structure for every fight and does get kind of repetitive, but I would have to say my favorite one is this doll thing. I think the only reason I enjoyed it as much as I did is that it's probably the only menacing character I've experienced in this entire game, which isn't really a bad thing, but it is slightly disappointing. Now, if I have to pick my favorite level from the game, it would probably be the one where you have to help this guy make gumbo.
And no, it is not because of the sausage factory. Well, it kind of is.
Now, I know the gameplay is great, but how is the presentation of it?
It's good!
The setting has a spooky tone to it, and it works great with the setting. All the scenery looks nice, and the detail is amazing, even for an original Xbox game. But I know I can't really say that since I'm playing the remaster. You can see all the stitches on Vince, and it's amazing. And the music?
Don't get me started on the music!
The soundtrack is all jazz music, and I'm just a sucker for jazz. I love it, and I know many others do. Overall, I would definitely recommend this game if you have an Xbox or PC. But if you just want to play the game, I would recommend the remaster since it's only 20 bucks. It is way more for an original copy of the game since it's considered a cult classic. But other than that...
Overall, I would give this game an 8 out of 10 due to it actually being an overall fun package. It's only around 8 hours, so don't expect a huge game at all, but if you ever see it for a good deal, I cannot recommend it enough. Please play this game. And now, you know what? I'm gonna play a crappy mobile game.